right, ready to dive in. Today we're looking at Amazon, more specifically this Spanish YouTube video. And it's all about cracking the code on drop shipping on Amazon,
Hmm. Interesting.
which like a lot of people say you can't even do.
Yeah, that's definitely an attention-grabbing claim right there, like some kind of secret knowledge or something.
Yeah, exactly. So before we go any further, let's just like quickly recap what drop shipping is. It's basically selling stuff online, but you don't have like a warehouse full of inventory.
Right, you're connecting the customer to the supplier, and they handle all the like storage and shipping and stuff.
Exactly, you're the middleman. But the thing is, this video says you can do this on Amazon, and they're known for being really strict with sellers.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of using Amazon's like massive customer base without having to deal with inventory is super appealing, but doing it on Amazon where they're so focused on like controlling the customer experience, that's what makes this video so fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. So to show how it's supposed to work, the video uses this example of a phone stand that's also a charger. They go step by step, showing how they list it on Amazon, but a third-party supplier is the one shipping it out to customers.
This is where they start talking about winning the buy box, which is basically being the default seller for a product on Amazon. They say that by offering faster shipping times, even if your price isn't the lowest, you can get the buy box and like way more sales.
Okay, but hold on. How do you ship things faster if you're not the one actually shipping them?
Yeah.
This is where that drop shipping platform they keep mentioning comes in, right?
Yep, it's called Auto DS, and they even offer a like 35-day free trial because of this video. It's basically the connection between your Amazon seller account and whoever your supplier is.
So Auto DS is kind of the key to their whole strategy. Makes sense. But even with that, you still need to figure out what product you're going to sell, right?
Yep.
Something that people actually want, and it's easy to ship.
Absolutely. And the video recommends using AutoDS's hand-picked products feature. It's like a list of stuff that's already been checked to make sure it's, profitable.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. They also said to stay away from restricted categories like medicine and focus on products that can be shipped quickly and have free returns.
Right. All about making things easier, both for you and the customer.
Smart. They spent a lot of time comparing the price of that phone stand to similar ones on Amazon, saying that their 5-day shipping beats out the 20-plus days others offer.
Yeah, but I'm not so sure if shipping time alone is enough to win the buy box all the time. Amazon's algorithm is super complicated. They look at your seller history, reviews, all sorts of things.
Good point. So let's say you found the perfect product and you're ready to list it. The video is really big on making sure it's even allowed on Amazon. They show you how to use the ASIN, which is like a product ID number, to check if it's okay on Seller Central.
Yeah, verifying that is crucial because, trust me, you don't want to put in all the work setting up a listing just for Amazon to be like, nope, can't sell that here.
Definitely. But speaking of Seller Central, they mention it, but don't explain what it is or the different seller plans you can choose from.
It's like they just assume everyone knows already.
Right. And if I remember correctly, they specifically say to get the professional plan, which is like $40 a month because it gives you access to Amazon's API. Now, I know an API is like a way for different software to talk to each other. But could you break that down a little more?
Sure. So basically, the API lets AutoDS connect directly to your Amazon account and do stuff like list products, update how many you have in stock, and fulfill orders automatically.
Okay. So it's basically what makes all that drop shipping automation possible.
Exactly.
So API is super important, but even with everything automated, you still have to set up the logistics, like shipping and returns. They show how to configure shipping times based on where the customer is, and even set up prepaid return labels so the seller pays for the return shipping.
Which, on the surface, it's good customer service, but it also makes things way simpler when you, the seller, never actually touch the product.
True. Very strategic. Okay, so product, check. Shipping, check. Returns, check. Then they show how to connect AutoDS to your Amazon seller account, putting in the ASIN, picking your supplier, and even using a tool to automatically adjust your prices based on what the supplier charges and how much profit you want.
That pricing tool is a lifesaver, especially because supplier prices can change and you don't want that to suddenly mess up your profit margins.
Right. They mention a dynamic profit feature for when you have a ton of products, but they don't explain how it works.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating. They give you a peek, but not the full picture.
Okay, so everything's connected, prices are set, ready to launch, right?
Well, not quite. They make it clear that there's a waiting period before your listing actually goes live, and Amazon might ask for more info before approving your product.
It's like a reminder that even with this supposed shortcut, you're still playing by Amazon's rules.
Oh, absolutely. You're on their turf. You got to follow their game.
And then finally, they say that if you follow all their steps, you'll get the buy box, like they did with their phone stand example.
Which, sounds great, but it's just one example. Who knows if it'll work every time for every product?
Yeah, definitely some healthy skepticism is needed. So drop shipping on Amazon, not as simple as they make it sound, huh?
Definitely some nuances they kind of gloss over.
Before we get into those, though, let's talk about the money side of things, because they mentioned some interesting stuff
I
there.
like how you don't get paid right away after someone buys something.
Yeah, that's a good one. They say there's a 30-day wait after your first sale, and then you get paid every 2 weeks after that.
Definitely something to think about if you need that money quickly.
And of course, we got to talk about taxes,
The dreaded taxes.
right? They briefly mentioned that you have to, like, do your research on the tax laws in your country and the country you're selling in.
It's a good reminder that even if dropshipping seems easy, it's still a business and there's all that legal stuff you got to deal with.
Absolutely. But on a more positive note, they do hint that you can, like, scale up your drop shipping once you get the hang of it. They say to experiment with different products and see what sells well.
Yeah, it's all about testing and figuring out what works best for you.
So we've covered a lot in this first part. We've talked about their whole drop shipping strategy, the tools they use, and even some of the financial stuff.
But I think the most interesting part is still coming up, right?
Definitely. In the next part, we're going to look at the long-term stuff, like, is drop shipping actually sustainable, or is it just a stepping stone to something bigger? That's what we're going to unpack next time.
Okay, so picking up where we left off, they do say that drop shipping isn't always easy, like there are going to be problems along the way.
Right, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, and they even mention this document that's like linked in the description, and it's supposedly has solutions to common drop shipping problems.
Ah, so it's like a little safety net for beginners,
Hmm.
which honestly is probably really helpful when you're dealing with Amazon and suppliers and all that.
Totally. But even with that support, it still makes me wonder, like, is this drop shipping thing actually a sustainable business model long term?
Right. I mean, the video shows them getting the buy box for that phone stand, but is that really typical? Or is it just like a cherry-picked example?
It's a good question, and honestly, I'm kind of skeptical. What works for one product might not work for another, and even if you do win the buy box, there are still some built-in limitations to drop shipping itself.
Like what?
Well, you're always going to be under pressure to have the lowest price and the fastest shipping, right? And since you rely on a supplier, you're kind of stuck with whatever they charge and how quickly they can ship things.
So if a competitor comes along with a lower price or faster shipping, you're basically screwed.
Pretty much, yeah. It becomes this race to the bottom where everyone's cutting their profits just to stay competitive.
Not ideal. And you also don't really have much control over your brand when you're just reselling generic products.
That's a big one. You're stuck with whatever the supplier provides, and that can make it hard to build a unique identity for your business.
Okay, so now I'm starting to see the downsides here. But then the video does this weird thing where they say that drop shipping shouldn't be the end goal, it should be a stepping stone. Wait, are they saying to stop drop shipping once you start making money? I'm so
I
confused.
don't think so. I think what they're saying is use the skills you learn from dropshipping to create something bigger and better.
Oh, so it's like drop shipping is the training ground, and then you use that experience to build your own brand.
Exactly. Think about it. Instead of competing on price alone, you're creating something unique that solves a specific problem for people.
And you're building a real brand, not just reselling other people's stuff.
It's like those stories you hear about people who start by selling simple things online, and then they end up creating these huge companies with their own products.
So it's all about playing the long game, using drop shipping as a way to learn and make some money so you can eventually launch something bigger.
It's a smart strategy, but it definitely comes with its own set of challenges.
Like what?
Well, building a brand from scratch takes a lot of work and resources. You'll need to invest in product development, branding, marketing, maybe even your own warehouse and shipping operation.
It's a whole different ball game compared to just listing stuff on Amazon.
And there's no guarantee of success, right? Even big companies struggle sometimes.
So for someone who's just starting out, it must seem pretty daunting.
It can be, yeah, but the rewards can be huge too.
Okay, so let's bring this back to our listener for a second. We've looked at this drop shipping strategy, the good and the bad, and even the idea of using it as a stepping stone. What would you say is the main takeaway?
Honestly, I think it's that dropshipping isn't a magic solution. It's a business model that requires work, planning, and being able to adapt. And while it can be a good way to learn and make some money, The real magic happens when you use that experience to create something truly unique.
So it's not just about following a step-by-step guide. It's about understanding the bigger picture and figuring out what you really want to achieve.
And that's where the real journey begins. It's about finding your passion, understanding your audience, and building a brand that people love.
It's about going beyond just making a quick buck and creating something meaningful that lasts.
And that's like the most valuable insight from all of this. Dropshipping can be a starting point, but the real adventure is building a brand, a legacy, something that's bigger than just selling stuff online.
So we're wrapping up our deep dive into this whole Amazon dropshipping thing, and I keep coming back to that question we asked before. Is it a stepping stone or the end goal? Like, where do you land on that, dear listener?
I think it really comes down to what you want to achieve, you know? Like, are you trying to build something that's truly yours with your own products and branding? Or is the appeal of, like, getting started quickly and without a lot of money more important?
Because even if everything in the video works perfectly, it still seems like a ton of work, right? Always searching for new products,
Yeah.
checking prices, trying to stay ahead of the competition.
For sure. It's definitely a business model that requires you to be on your toes and be okay with some risk, you know? There's no guarantee that things will always go your way, especially when so much depends on your supplier and Amazon's like mysterious algorithms.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, maybe for some people, the constant hustle is the appeal, but
Hmm.
if you're more into stability and having more control of your brand, then dropshipping might just be the first step, like you say in the video.
Totally. It's like entrepreneurship is all about choosing your own adventure, right? Maybe drop shipping is how you learn the basics and make some money before you go and create that amazing product you've always dreamed of.
Like a boot camp for online business.
Exactly. You learn by doing, you figure out what works, and hopefully you come out the other side with a ton of knowledge and experience.
And then you can decide, do I stick with dropshipping and like really master it? Or do I take that knowledge and build something totally new?
Right, the choice is yours. But no matter what, I think this whole deep dive has shown us that you got to go into drop shipping with realistic expectations, and you got to be willing to keep learning as you go.
Yeah, being flexible and curious is so important, especially with online business changing all the time.
Absolutely. So, to everyone listening, as you're thinking about your own business journey, remember this. Drop shipping can be a lot of things: a starting point, a learning experience, even a final destination. The important thing is to figure out what you want and choose the path that makes the most sense for you.
And never stop learning. Whether you're deep into dropshipping or building a brand from scratch, knowledge is power.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
It's not just about the technical stuff, it's about having that mindset of like always being curious and ready to adapt whatever comes your way.
That's what we've tried to show you in this deep dive. It's all about that mindset. Thanks for joining us, and remember, the best adventures are usually the ones we create ourselves.